I love great conversations. Hi, my name is Angel Jones. Thank you for joining me on 12-minute convos where I help you create a brand of your own unique, real self. Listen in as I have conversations with amazing people from all over the world. Good day, Timothy Ingram. How are you going on this wonderful, beautiful day?
Good. How are you doing?
I'm excellent, my friend. It's a great pleasure to connect with you. What part of the world are you in right now, Timothy?
Right now, I am sitting in Fort Worth, Texas.
All right. The second for today. Tell me which of your talents is responsible for us connecting at this time.
It should be podcasting, I believe. Is how you found out about me.
Yeah. Tell us about your podcast, please.
Well, I helped my brother. My brother started about 3 to 4 months ago a podcast called Real Christian Manliness Podcast. And he initially was going to do it with another friend, and then his other friend backed out. So he asked me to do it. And I've always wanted to do a podcast, so I jumped right on board on that. And we're having a good time.
Yeah, you do sound as though you both have a great time. So how does it feel to be second, though?
Second? Well, he's my older brother, so I guess I got a 31 years of experience on that.
That's amazing. So who did you learn the skill? I mean, it's definitely two personalities that you get the taste of on the podcast, right?
Mm-hmm.
Even though you all came from the same womb, right?
Right.
Which is intriguing. Like, who do you think you learned your skills from? Your skill of the analytical aspect of what you bring to the podcast? I
mean, I really don't know. I mean, I listen to a lot of content, so I think I pick up pieces here and there from different guys and ladies that I listen to, because I try to listen to a lot of podcasts myself, just to try to always be getting information coming into my brain.
Yeah, makes sense. So are you loving the podcast experience thus far?
Oh, yeah, definitely. I mean, we've only been doing it 3 or 4 months, but I'm sure as you know, and you understand, it's always fun creating something.
Yeah.
And it makes you do something sometimes. I mean, I don't have any training or necessarily skills that I developed in this before. It's just something that we're doing and figuring out as we go. So that's another fun aspect about it.
Yeah, I love it. I love the idea of learning as you go for most things, not all. Most definitely. Well, tell us why you will continue on this path of podcasting.
I mean, especially with what my brother and I are doing, it's a religious, spiritual kind of podcast, and there's just a lot of reward in that. You know, it's anytime we hear messages back from, it's a male target demographic that we're going after, but so anytime we hear back from a man or the other day we got a nice message from a teenager in Florida that said he sits back and listens to the podcast and he learns a lot from it. You know, every time you hear one of those messages or you see one of those messages online, it just gives you the encouragement and the desire to just keep putting out episodes.
The manliness, man. All right, my friend. Well, tell me one other thing that you've done consistently over the last 3 years.
Over the last 3 years?
Yeah.
Work a lot. 3 or 4 months into a podcast, it doesn't pay the bills. You know, some huge podcasts out there are making a lot of money off of it. Yeah. So I have to have a second job.
I guess that represents the manliness aspect of life, right?
Oh, yeah, definitely. You know, if you go back to the beginning of the Bible, the curse on sin was because the man had to work and had to sweat to produce food and provide for his family.
And you do that well, don't you?
I do my best. Put in a lot of hours.
How does that make you feel? Like, I mean, just being that guy who is doing the work to take care of your family.
I mean, it's always gives you a sense of pride, I guess. And I know pride can be used in a bad way, but there's also a good aspect to pride where you have a sense of accomplishment, and you know, you don't want to be the lazy person that's just sitting around on the couch relying on somebody else. So there's that aspect to it. So, you know, it's a good feeling whenever you come home and you're tired from a long day's work, and you know that you did everything that you could to give your employer or whatever job you're doing all your effort for that day.
Yeah, most definitely. What I really loved that your brother shared in the conversation is that the podcast gives you both the opportunity to connect because of the distance. So I can imagine you working the way you do work and having to meet him so regularly.
Right.
Definitely a challenge, right? But the podcasting opportunity, wow, it does open an amazing opportunity for a relationship builder, doesn't it?
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, and I don't know if you have any siblings or if anybody out listening to this has siblings that they deal with. You know, sometimes there's ups and downs in that relationship, but whenever you get together and work on something like that, it can bring you together and heal some things. Not necessarily that we had any strife or animosity there, but it just brings people together whenever you're working together to create something.
Yeah. He did tell us about the time he hit you over the. I'm joking.
He didn't tell you about the time that he hit me in the nose and caused my nose to bleed, throwing a baseball at me.
No, he didn't. He did. It was definitely fun though, that conversation. Well, my friend Timothy, how about we switch gears for a moment? Let me now invite you into my time machine that is surrounded with beautiful warm blue Caribbean water. Timothy, what is your earliest childhood memory?
Earliest childhood memory. I mean, a lot of my memories revolve around church. So I remember, playing in nurseries with other kids, and I know I had a friend, a friend that I found him kissing another girl around the corner of the nursery where none of the nursery workers could see him, and that's probably I think that might be one of my earliest memories.
Wow, how old do you think you were?
I mean, I was probably 4 or 5. I wasn't really interested in girls yet, but my friend, he was an early bloomer.
Oh, how can you connect the dots to that memory and who you are now?
I mean, everything with me pretty much is who I am now comes from my upbringing in church, and the person that I am today is largely because of that. My father was, I don't know if my brother told you this, my father was a missionary, and we did a lot of church work. So pretty much everything about me, at least all the good things about me, came from my upbringing with my Christian parents.
Yeah, that's amazing. Well, can I offer an interpretation to the thought picture you created in my mind?
Go for it.
I love the fact that, and you could tell me if this is accurate or not, right? The fact that the place that you attended, the church, that the variation of what can occur there, even in the church, right? And understanding that truly the decisions that the individual makes, as much as the church is needed, really directs your path.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Oh, definitely. 'Cause I mean, and I don't even know where that kid is anymore. I don't think he goes to church, and he might not even be alive for all I know. So yeah, it's always depends on what the individual does with the information they get from there.
Yeah, most definitely. If we fast forward to when you were 12, what was your favorite song?
When I was 12, my favorite song?
Yeah.
Wow. Oh, I don't know if I mean, music, it's hard for me to, I'm also a huge music person, so it's really hard. I couldn't tell you what my favorite song right now is. There's so many good ones that I enjoy listening to.
What's one song that pops in your mind? Like, is it
for right now, or
is
for when I was
it like
12?
Georgie Porgy? Kissing time.
I don't know. I mean, it sound like a broken record, but it's gonna be would be a lot of hymns and songs that we
shoot
sang
one.
in church.
I think Isaac chose one as well, a hymn as well.
I mean, my favorite hymn of all time has always been "It Is Well With My Soul."
I think he chose that exact
Did he?
song. Wow.
He copies me. He copies me on everything.
Wow, that's amazing. I'm speaking to you, looking here, tuning back to see what his episode number is, just to refer it. But yeah, in my book, right? But I know I spoke with him on the 18th of November. Well, we'll see what that looks like.
Yeah. Even if I'm second, he still copied me.
Yeah, he did. But amazing audience, you could always look at Isaac Ingram, pull that and compare conversations.
Yeah.
Well, my friend, we've arrived at our destination. But before we get off of this time machine, there is a small declaration form. So it's yes or no, possibly a bit more. We're going to move pretty quickly here. Are you ready, Timothy?
All right.
Timothy, have you chosen someone to pass on your skills to?
Not yet.
Are you married?
Single.
Do you have children?
No children.
Do you believe in God?
I do.
Do you have an inner circle of friends?
Yes.
Do you watch TV for more than 3 hours a day?
Not every day, but some days.
What about screen time, the phone and the computer? Is it more than 8 or less than 8 hours a day?
Probably less.
If you had to share with us, Timothy, your own unique statement, a statement that represents who you are, what would you say that is?
Hardworking, trying to make it in life.
Love it. Hey, Timothy, this was a great pleasure, my friend. Before you leave, is there anything else you'd like to share with our amazing audience?
No, but if you're a Christian man, check out our podcast, Real Christian Manliness.
Real Christian Manliness. Raw. Love that. Timothy Ingram, thank you for being on What is Inspired by 12-Minute Convos with Angel Jones.
Thank you.
Thank you for being on 12-Minute Convos with Angel Jones. Stay tuned for more from our advertisers.
Diabetes is a mountain pandemic. It's a disease that's not acute but chronic. Similar to this rhyming method, I have simplified the definition, the signs and symptoms, and the complications of diabetes for both adults and children in my books, Poems for Patients, A Focus on Diabetes, and The ABCs of Diabetes for Children. These books are available on Amazon.com, and for more information, you can visit my website, poemsbyaj.com. That's poemsbyaj.com.